Good evening. Welcome to the Spiritual Speakeasy, where the bar is always open and all spirits are always served. Hope you all have had a good week. Hot as hell outside here in mid-Missouri. Heat wave, heat wave, muggy. Welcome to mid-Missouri weather, where the humidity's in the air at 80 some percent, and it's 100 degrees outside. Grab yourself a drink tonight. This one's going to be interesting. Hang on a second. I want to make sure everybody's on that needs to be on watching. Sure, the links went out. I know my dear sister Bethany is on. I'm going to queue up the comments here. Hang on a second. There we go. Comments are up and running. So tonight I thought I'd do something different. I talk about a lot of different things that I've learned on this pod, and I had some really interesting things happen this last week. Had a lot of interesting things happen this week, and had a lot of contact in the spirit world, and had a lot of just very bizarre for me things. I've spent 2 full day periods, 2 full 12-hour periods in ERs with family and friends. I don't do ERs for the people that know me. I don't do a lot of things. It's kind of a PTSD thing left over from COVID and nursing. So I pushed myself, and that was exciting. And then in the course of the last 2 weeks, I've had contact with some different spirit guides and some different things, and some different viewpoints have come to mind. And I kind of wanted to talk about that tonight. So I do a lot of dark talks. I do a lot of talks about, your shadow self and demonology and even paranormal. And this one didn't really have a title for it. It's kind of like the underworld doesn't want you, or does it really? Like, Christians present this pattern that we're going to be damned if we don't find God, and the spiritual hell wants us to be damned. It wants to draw us in and all these different things. But then if you get away from Christianity, the bad guys aren't always the bad guys anymore. So I took a look at my 2 main guides, and I'm very open about those. My Baron Samedi is a big one of mine, and he and Brigitte, as well as Lucifer, and I do work with Lucifer a lot. But then I had Hades roll in, and Hades, I had to take a look at that and go, why? This is very strange how he moved in. So I got thinking, well, I never compare and contrast deities. I don't compare and contrast different pantheons. I stick with what I know. If a client wants me to look up something for them, I certainly will do the research on that, and give them what it takes. But for me to sit and compare my own, I don't do that. So I had to sit and compare my own this time. So what if the underworld really wanted to return us? What if it's a makeover? What if it's a do-over process? So grab yourself a drink. Hi, Tammy. Thank you for joining. Grab yourself a drink tonight. This is an unsponsored commercial for the social. It is Rocket Pop, your bomb pops that we all liked when we were a kid. Yeah, it's a great drink. The bar's open tonight. The spirits are being served, and we're walking into the underground, the underworld, not to stay, but to understand why every culture tells the same story with a different twist. Let's talk first about Baron, but we're going to also talk about Baron, and Lucifer, and Hades, dream, death, and despair, motorcycle wrecks, lightning bugs, music, wine, maybe some THC, and the whole chase. That's what's leading up to all this, right? The chase. So why I think I finally figured out the lesson that I was trying to learn. I've been trying to learn this lesson for a really long time, and this is just the beginning of learning this lesson, but I wanted to share in case it helps somebody along the way. This isn't going to be about religion, and it's not going to be about convincing anybody anymore about what I believe in and what I belong in. This is just like sharing information. This is my personal journey. I'm just now talking about it, Tammy. Good, glad you asked. Tammy says, "What is this about?" This is my journey into the underworld. Pour yourself a drink. Again, the social. Bomb pop flavor. They call it rocket pop. And let's get into this journey. Every culture builds an underworld. Egypt, Greece, your Voodoo cultures, Christianity, Norse, every civilization creates a place below, a place beneath. Why? Why do they do that? Not because humans are obsessed with dying, because we're obsessed with descending. Hi, Tinsley. Thank you. Thank you. I will call you Tinsley then. We're obsessed with descending. We're obsessed with depression. We're obsessed with trauma. We're obsessed with loss. We're obsessed with grief and shadows and failure, identity. And every single human who enters an underworld has asked at one point in time or the other along their journey, what if hell isn't punishment? What if it's just the beginning? What if it's initiation? So there's two sides. And then, of course, Christianity says, oh, you can't look at it that way. Knowledge would be too much. It's not knowledge. It's got to be punishment. It can't just be death. It cannot be just what it is. Three kings. Baron, the one who laughs, the one who always has a cigar in his mouth, the rum, the cemetery. He reminds me that life is temporary and to dance anyway. He's also the deity, if you will, the Lord that saved me. He is the one that brought me back from my COVID death. He taught me to drink and to laugh and to sit around and enjoy other people. Even if I didn't agree with what they agree with, that camaraderie and living is far, far more important than being rigid and frigid and dying a human death. Love anyway. Take that chance. Take a chance on life. Lucifer brought me knowledge, music, a different form of sexual energy, desire, freedom, consequences big time. Because everything that you get, everything that you receive from him comes with a price, right? Consequences, big time. But freedom taught me to question everything, to accept responsibility for everything. Never surrender. Never surrender curiosity. Bye. Thank you for joining in. Stay longer next time. Hades taught me silence, stone, peace, order. Came to me in a long, long night. And this morning I ended up doing a full head wash and releasing some things, which is like, what you're supposed to do on the 28th. We're supposed to have released everything this month that no longer serves us because it's now the summer solstice. It's the new beginning of a full bloom in beauty. He came to me with no intoxication, no performance, just simply, I am here. It is time. and you pretty much need to get your shit together. Sit, be, and enough were the words. Sit down, be, just be, and enough. Be enough. You are enough. Don't try to be anything else. Why would my journey take me through all of those? I mean, that's a good question. Why would it take me through all three? So my hashtag is smoke, sin, and silk. I am the paranormal courtesan, and I've got that hashtag too. Like, you can look me up and watch our videos from that. But smoke, what about smoke? Smoke disappears, right? It leaves traces. You can smell it. But everything is smoke. Smoke is the chase. Smoke is the experiences. It's the trips. It's the visions. It's the investigations. It's the really wild adrenaline rush when you get to talk to something that someone can't see. Sammy, this is a paranormal spiritual speakeasy podcast. The adrenaline is the smoke. The darkness is the smoke. The mystery. Smoke teaches movement. Smoke moves. It burns. Thank you. Yes, we appreciate that. Smoke teaches movement, but smoke also never stays. The remnants of smoke stays. The remnants stay. The smell stays. The soot stays. But smoke itself moves on. Silk. Silk seduces. It's beautiful. It's soft. The touch on your skin, the music that goes with it, the wine, the bodies, the connection. There's intimacy with silk. There's power. Silk is not evil. Silk reminds us we're human. Silk reminds us to care for ourselves. Silk reminds us of a lot of things. Silk and smoke together. Silk and fire is never a good idea. Silk and smoke. Think about how that moves together. Thank you so much, Sammy. Appreciate you. Thank you. We have a lot of good videos on. This I have to put the two together, smoke and silk, because you see people in silk parlor jackets, smoking cigars. You see people dancing in courtesan days with their silk and their, thank you, their silk and their around campfires or around torches. So there's smoke involved with those. A lot of times your dancers will dance in silk while working with flames. So there's an edge to it. There's a fluidity to it. There's a warmth. There's a heat. There's a passion to both of those. So when we talk about sin, this is where everybody thinks, like, unless you know me, you think I'm going to start preaching, and that's not at all where I go with this. Sin might simply mean missing your center point, not being centered and balanced where you're supposed to, missing your line. For me, sin was a church-derived word that had a very judgmental meaning. And, you know, if you sinned, you were going to hell, straight to hell. You know, you can be forgiven. We weren't that rigid. But there are a lot of guilt. Being Episcopal, you know, diet Catholics, all the fun without the guilt. But we did have guilt. We had a lot of it. Missing your center, missing your line. For me, it wasn't about sex. It wasn't about wine. It wasn't about Lucifer or Baron or darkness. The things that people have judged me for and said I was, you know, sinful of. morality based, because somehow when you disagree with Christianity, you automatically become immoral, and the two have nothing to do with each other, really. You can have a great moral code and believe in a different deity. For me, sin isn't about pride. To me, the whole thing was about forgetting why I started my walk, about why I started this whole journey. That was my sin. Like, why, the whole purpose of why I lost me, or how I lost me, or why was I even trying to find me, which I go back so far now, I have no idea. Like, I can't tell you why I started this. I don't know why. That's a weird thing to say. I don't know why. Because it's honest. I think, my journey was because dead people tend not to lie. When you're a psychic and you hang out in the world of the dead, there's not the lies. The shadow doesn't lie to me. Trauma doesn't lie. My perceptions may be off, but it doesn't ever lie. And grief doesn't lie. But somewhere I stopped descending to learn, and I started descending because I liked descending. I liked the darkness. I liked the fun. I liked the playfulness. I liked the seduction, loved the seduction of it. The chase also became part of the purpose. The mystery became my identity. The rabbit hole became that very familiar home. Not my home, not my center, not my balance, but the whole rabbit hole. That's where I missed my mark. Not because darkness was wrong, not because it was wrong or right or good or bad, but because I forgot to come home. I would say I'm balanced, I'm good, and I was balanced. My energy was fairly clean, and I was level. I wasn't doing anything outrageous, but I also wasn't home. I was still on that journey, searching and running, and the adrenaline is crashing and things are going on. So I missed my mark. In the underworld, I don't consider it evil by any means. It's a classroom. It's a classroom where you face your darknesses and you face your weaknesses and you balance out. You don't get rid of them. You change them. You become a better person. You learn from those things. And you don't graduate by refusing to leave. It doesn't make you a better person if you hang down there or you stay there. Orpheus returned. Persephone returned. Inanna returned. Even Christ returns from the grave. The lesson isn't to stay below. The lesson is bring wisdom back to the living. That's kind of what I forgot in my journey. Maybe the sin isn't drinking the wine. Maybe it's needing the wine to feel alive. Food for thought. Maybe sin isn't sex. Maybe sin is believing that another person's desire determines your worth. Let me read that again. Maybe sin is really believing that another person's desire determines your worth. Maybe sin isn't knowledge. Maybe sin is believing knowledge alone will save you. Because all the knowledge in the world isn't going to save you if you don't incorporate that and use it for the means that you have received it for. Maybe sin isn't Lucifer. Maybe it's giving another thing, another entity, the driver's seat that belongs in the passenger seat, and yet you're asking permission continuously from it. And for the few people that I know personally that are on watching tonight, I'm going to repeat that. Maybe sin is really giving the driver's seat over to something that belongs in the passenger seat. And then we ask permission for whatever we need. That's a really deep thought for me. My motorcycle wreck taught me something big. Baron taught me something bigger. Lucifer taught me the patience to sit and listen through everything everyone was saying and to discern and to look for more knowledge and look for an understanding of the knowledge I have so that I could incorporate it into my daily life. Hades taught me to do something crazy, to sit and be, to sit and just be enough as I am in this moment, to quit chasing, to quit running, which doesn't mean to quit learning. It means it's time to go home. You can go back on other trips, other journeys, but you need to touch base at home. You need to find your center again. And it was like a breath of fresh air when this hit. It was truly a deep breath and a sit and stay this time. You don't need all of this other stuff. This is what you need. You're now here. You now have your boundaries. You now have these things in place that are designed to help. So then there was a lightning bug. And enter the said lightning bug, and you're thinking, what the hell is she talking about now? There's a lightning bug, right? In the middle of everything going on, and got the message. Anything going on and everything going on, a lightning bug flew into my room, which is darkened. The house is dark tonight. So I washed my dreads, not because I was told to, because I needed to. I knew I needed to release something. And then later today, I'm sitting in the family room and there flies a lightning bug in my house. Tiny little lightning bug, lighting up darkness. And I laughed because I have spent literally years searching for that lightning, something that lit up my darkness and helped me to understand. And then the wisdom comes in the form of a lightning bug tonight. Tiny little lightning bug, tiny little light, moving through the dark room, not destroying the darkness, not lighting up the whole fucking room, because he did not. He did not light up the whole room. Just making his own little path in the darkness, just flying through, making his own little path, a tiny little light. He didn't destroy the darkness. He's living inside the darkness, doing his own little thing. And that was enough. And I put all that together and I was like, damn, it's enough for the lightning bug. That's strange. Like he's happy doing his thing. Why can't I be happy with what I have? Like that's a thought too, right? So, you link all this together, and I used to think that spirituality meant choosing a side. And I do think there is a spiritual war out there between some really dark things. Not the darkness I'm speaking of tonight. Like there's bad people out there. There's bad concepts out there that are very hurtful and horrific. And we have to choose a side on which side we're on for that. But that's not the darkness I'm talking about now. I used to think spirituality meant choosing a side. You had to be Christian or you had to be Satanist. I knew there was a lot in between. But you had to choose a side, right? Light and dark. Because people will say, I'm a light practitioner. I'm a love and light. I don't deal with darkness. Darkness is evil, and it's I don't speak dark. I don't hear dark. And you can't have light without dark. I used to think it meant God. Spirituality, not darkness. And I used to think, of Lucifer and church and Michael and occult and trauma. I could go through a list of various adjectives there. And now I think spirituality really means starting with yourself and finding your center. Finding where your center is, not only in this world, with you, within your house, in your family, within your job, within your community, within your state, your nation, your country, your world, and then all around. Smoke, sin, and silk, none of those are enemies. They're not the bad things. Smoke reminds me that nothing lasts. Nothing is forever. And to spare yourself from becoming so attached to something that you can't let go of it. Because if you can't let go of it, it's going to be taken from you. And that's the lesson. How that relates to me, one of the things I said is I was thinking about my bike and I had a conversation with somebody, my ninja that I laid down. That was like my very favorite thing. Like I've never had a toy that was that important to me. And it was like hugely important to me. And I got attached. And it's to remind me that I should not be that attached to something that material. Silk reminds me that I'm still human. I'm still human and I still need other people and I still need to be soft in a lot of ways. You can be a badass and paranormal, or you can be a badass searching out for this thing or that thing, and you can be this and you can be that, but you still need to be human and you still need to be conscientious that there's other people out there that are also in need, and give of your time and what you have to assist the community and assist your fellow human beings. Sin reminds me to keep checking my compass. Says, they're really two compasses. I know somebody would be yelling at me right now if I didn't say that correctly. Because sometimes you think you're home and you're way off from home. You're on a completely different state line. Baron taught me to live. Lucifer gave me a shit ton of knowledge and experiences and consequences. Hades taught me peace. Where I'm at right now. Dream. Dream. Dream taught me change. Death taught me kindness. Despair taught me to keep moving. And that was hard. That is a very hard thing sometimes, to keep moving. The lightning bug, the little lightning bug, we did release him into the plants, taught me that maybe light does not have to conquer darkness. Maybe it never had to. Maybe it never even had to adjust it. Maybe its job is to just simply keep blinking. Just to flash its little light and do its little thing, staying in its own little lane. Because sometimes that is as important as anything. To just keep being yourself and lighting up your own little way. You don't have to light up anybody else's way. So tonight, this is a short podcast, but I'm going to ask you to get your drink of whatever you're drinking and raise your glass to the wanderers, to the witches, to the broken, to the rebels, and to those who have stood in the underworld knee deep in whatever kind of darkness or shit they were in, but still found their way home. Because in the underworld, I don't think it ever wanted to keep you. It wanted to introduce you. to yourself. And now that you've found yourself, it's time to go home. So I wish you a good night. The bar is closed. Shout out to the social. The spirits, they're always welcome here. And I truly want you to understand that this is my journey of a different kind of ghosts, a different kind of darkness. You got to meet the person who walked through their own underworld and came out carrying a lantern instead of another ghost story. It's a different kind of darkness. It's much quieter now. It's much more peaceful. And I also think it's much more powerful. And for the purpose of this recording and this podcast, I have to say that these are strictly my opinions, not the opinions of the owners and producers of the network. And these are just my journeys, my learnings. And I wanted to pass that on to you. Good night, Sammy. Thank you. I hope you liked it. Next week, we're going to have a guest. I'm winging it summer. It's crazy. It's crazy. But we do have people coming on with different backgrounds, and I look forward to that. Stay safe, stay cool, stay hydrated. And I'm going to cut you short tonight. I love you all. Have a great week. Thank you for joining the Spiritual Speakeasy. Night, y'all.